Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Perfectly Twisted. I'm Nicole Eggert, and with me is Dave Palais.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
You know, this is the first week of baseball season, Nicole. It all gets going for me this week. This is it. We finished strong. I have the new Dodger hat ready to go, and all of a sudden, it feels like spring again.
It feels like dead of summer. We went from winter to summer heat, like in no time, like a flip of a switch.
We did.
So baseball season starting. I'm clueless. I had no idea.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I did see, because I watch the news obviously every day, but I did see them like painting the LA on the field and talking about how expensive the tickets are to see a Dodger game this year.
Crazy expensive, but that's what happens when you pay for the best players. And so here's the deal. If you're a baseball fan, enjoy this year, because there's a lot of talk. There's going to be a lockout in 2027 that could last through 2028. So we might not get baseball for a few years until the owners and the players can figure out an agreement on money. And so enjoy this season. Otherwise, you might not see it for a long time.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Why is that?
Well, the owners want more money, and the players are kind of happy with the way things are going. So the owners want to put a salary cap on basically the roster, and the players said, we've never had a salary cap. Don't cap how much money we should be able to make. And so the owners, it's not like they're going to throw it back into the product. They're just going to keep the money. And that's what teams do all the time outside of the Dodgers. The Dodgers actually give most of the money they make back to, more than 85% back to the players. And the teams that lose all the time, the owners keep 85% of the money. The teams that finish in last place every year, they just keep the money and don't throw it back into the team. So that's the problem. As a Dodger fan, I am, you are, hey, we keep winning. We kind of like it the way it is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, boys and fighting about money. And
what's new?
What is new? It's blood into baseball now. I went last night to a screening. It was such a well done event. It was so fun, of The Pink Pill, which when Dr. Topinski was on a couple weeks ago, we were talking about it because I heard about it through her. So I went and watched it. You can stream it on Paramount Plus. It's sort of the Viagra for women. It's a pill that you would take daily, and it's the documentary is just an amazing watch, because it shows how the FDA and men in the world just don't want women to have this this pill, and so they've shut it down for the woman who owns it, and the documentary is about her name's Cindy Eckert. She has fought so hard for so many years, and she owned this pill. She sold it. She got it approved by the FDA, which was a huge uphill battle. So many women got behind her and Capitol Hill, and they fought for it. They got it approved, and then it got shut down again. Men put a black box warning on it, and when she sold it to the company shelved it, and then she bought it back, and we're fighting again. It's FDA approved. They've taken that black warning label off of it. And it's just about bringing awareness and getting insurance to cover it, and for women to understand that it's safe and amazing. And it's just such a tale of what it's like to be a woman in this country, and how men really just the control they want, and how they want to repress us. And it's wild. It's just wild. And in fact, and the weird part, the other side of that is a lot of the people speaking out against the pill were women. And we get back to that, like MAGA women. How are you MAGA and a woman? It's like doesn't make sense. And it's that kind of woman who, fights against other women instead of saying, okay, it's not for me, but I support you if that's what you want to do. And women don't have that attitude towards each other, and it's wild.
Yeah.
So the documentary is amazing. Check it out. The event was so well done. Whitney Cummings did the Q&A after, so it was funny. But great movie. Check it out.
Good.
Which, I went out last night and I went to this event, and then there was a sit down dinner afterwards, and I didn't get home. Your girl didn't get home till almost midnight last night. Ooh. And I was like, you know what? I started doing this like guilt-free, having my own life. Keegan is 14 and she's got a busy schedule and a social life and all of this. And I find myself kind of like sitting at home or thinking I need to be home for her. And then she takes off and I'm like just sitting there. So I was like this guilt-free like night out. She was home, but I was like, sometimes it's going to be that way now. Like, if
Yep.
she's not home that much and like I need to get back to it. So it brings me to this amazing book I was reading. And we have the guest, the author of it, and it's called Good Girl, Bad Mom. It's by Dr. Danielle Dowling, and it's fantastic. It's it covers so much, but it really kind of starts out like it gives you this permission to kind of be resentful and be a little bit like selfish and like upset at parenthood, but it doesn't mean that you don't love your child like more than anything in life, right? But you are allowed to be like, damn, where did I go? What happened to me? Where do I fit in? Why am I always last? Right. So she wrote this amazing book on it, and she's here today to talk to us about it. And I'm so excited because it was such a great read. Dr. Danielle Dowling.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much. And your rave review just like fills my heart up just to the absolute brim. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for saying what a lot of people are afraid to say. I think in 2026 we're finally having all these amazing conversations of talking about things that normally we hide or we don't talk about, right?
Mhm.
If it's menopause, if it's parenthood, whatever, all of it is coming to light. And it's in this time where our rights are also trying to be taken away from us. It's this push pull. And so women are just so much more open. I mean, good luck trying to take things away from us now, because we are having our voices and we are seeing each other and hearing each other and lifting each other up. And it's such a great time to be alive in that sense.
Yes. 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 Thank you so much. Yeah, hearing how you feel about it and how it resonated means so much to me, not just as a budding author and someone who loves to write, but mostly it is so meaningful because it really validates my early motherhood experience. The young mother in me who just felt I had so many mixed feelings. I was frustrated and I was confused and I was angry and I was rageful and I was resentful and I was anxious. I had postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. And I just felt so alone inside my motherhood experience. And I also felt like, can't say it, don't say it, that I'm not allowed to say, I don't know, or well, that I'm not allowed to say how upset I am and how confused I am and honestly how angry I am that nobody told me it was going to be like this and that I don't love it. I'm supposed to love it. Why don't I love it? So I felt so much guilt. And so you reflecting back to me that you get it to whatever extent you get it and it feels accurate for you is healing for me. It's soothing for that young mom in me who's like, something's wrong with me. I'm a bad mom. I'm supposed to love it. I'm supposed to be happy. Why am I angry? Why am I sad? And so every woman that picks up the book and says something similar to what you, just the little bit that you have shared, it makes me want to cry. And it makes me feel like I'm just getting the biggest hug of, and the realization that I was never alone, right? And that I'm not now. So thank you.
You are not alone. You are not alone. The book is Good Girl, Bad Mom. And while I was reading it and you're talking about, pregnancy and parenthood of young children and everything, and all I kept thinking is, phew, thank God I got through that. And I did it as a single mom. And so I could relate to so much that you were saying because I had to do it all,
Mhm.
and I just kept thinking, Okay. And the other thing that kept going through my mind by reading it is two things can be true. Right? This is a thing in life, and we have to realize this. Two things can be true. You can love your child to death. It can be your whole world. You can also be like, what in the F is going on, and where is my life? What about me? Why am I always last? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And we do have this instinct. You touch on this in the book about like when you talk about vacation and you say you're just moving locations, because as moms, we like pack up everything we know we need to make things go smoothly. And we just, most of us at least, we sort of like, I don't even have a choice. I can't even stop myself from knowing every detail. Like, because I was reading that part and you were saying, is it because we were conditioned to be that way? And I think for me, I'm just naturally that way. I'm a detail oriented person. So I know all the little things and I can't get them out of my head. And if I were to intentionally not listen to those and not pack them, I would be kicking myself. But you're right. Like we pack up everything we're going to need and then just move it, and then put out fires the entire time we're on quote unquote vacation, right?
Yes.
It's so true.
Yeah, so I say a vacation isn't a vacation, it's a relocation.
Relocation, right. That's what
Because I have found that it does not feel like a vacation. So my son is 9 now, so there are certain there is more independence. He has ADHD, so maybe not quite as much independence as a typical 9-year-old, but there is more. But in the book, I speak about probably 7 and under. It really, at least in my view, and the women that I've surveyed, it doesn't quite feel like a vacation. It really, in many regards, just feels like more work. Like it would actually be more relaxing to be at home, because the mother or whoever is in the mom role. So that could be a man, but he's in the mom role. Yeah.
Right.
Whoever that is the default parent. So I think, and if I could back into this, I'm also a detailed person as well. But I think even if you're a detailed person, if you're in the mom role, you're the default parent by default.
Right.
And so it is your unnamed job to remember all of those details. And you're absolutely correct. You realize really quickly as the mom, as default parent, that if I don't remember the stuffy, the favorite stuffy, the pink, the purple dress of the week, the medicine, the diaper bag, there's a whole list I go through in the book, right? There's so much stuff you have to remember, aside from maybe a car seat and a playpen if you have a really young one. You learn really quickly that if I don't remember all of these things, shit hits the fan, right? Like that one thing that you missed somehow is really critical. And it becomes then your job to fix it, to solve for it, because you're the one who knows that it's missing and that it's absolutely dire that it be replaced. So yeah.
And even if everything goes smoothly, which we all know it never does, but let's say it does. Like I remember being single mom, traveling with a young one and trying to fly, and that car seat. It was a situation where I wasn't going to have a car seat on the other end, so I had to bring one. So I've got the stroller and I'm trying to wheel my luggage, carrying a car seat and pushing a stroller from my car to the gate. And I was like, oh my God, F this. Like, why is there not like a bell desk or like somebody who comes and helps you or like, brings one of those big trolley things? Like, what is going on? And like I was sweating and hurting and then trying to stuff the car seat through the x-ray machine. Like it's work. It's a workout. It's work. It's hectic. It can be physically painful.
Yes.
It's all of those things. Like, and I just, through the book, I just was like, I'm so glad I'm past that. I'm so glad that part is over. Like, job well done. We're all still alive. And that leads me to where you talk about, you do this thing where it's like you have to create a feel good formula, which I think is really important. Where we have to have moments, and it's sort of like I relate to it because I practice a lot of like kind of Buddhism and meditation, and I really try to slow down, and I feel like things do go smoother the slower and more calm you are, and to sit and enjoy. And you talk about slivers of moments, and you call them slivers, where of self-care. And because we don't always we could take time off and go to the spa and have a few hours and then come back and everything is just all hectic again. But if we integrate it into our days, and we do just stop and breathe for a second, or stop and do some sort of self-care. Mine is like doing my hand weights for 20 minutes, 10 minutes. Enjoying that cup of coffee, getting up a few minutes earlier, doing the stretches, just taking those moments. It's not super time consuming, but it's game changer. And then you talk about better is better. I want you to touch on that, because sometimes we think, and I could relate to it in so many ways. The better is better, because after my cancer diagnosis, I changed all my lifestyle to live a preventative lifestyle. But all of this is really hard. And I always try to tell people, if 50 to 80%, if you can change that much, you're doing fantastic. And not to give up, not to say I'm not doing it all right, so just F it, I won't do any of it. Just anytime you do anything a little bit better, it's better. And you talk on that because you wrote it so well. And I think people really need to grasp that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So you said something, you led with something really important, and you mentioned it a couple minutes ago too, which is that motherhood can be both. And women are not really sort of systemically or culturally given the permission to acknowledge it as both quite yet. I'm hoping this book is part of a paradigm shift in that regard. But motherhood can absolutely be a joy. And one of the central tenets of the book is that it's also a job. Yeah, that it could be both at the same time. And with any job, you need a break. And most people can relate to that, man or woman, if you're in a parenthood role or not. When you're at a job 8 hours a day, you probably take a coffee break. You probably take a lunch break. Hopefully you do. If you're eating at your desk, hopefully you take an afternoon break. You take PTO. You take holiday from your job. You go.
There's
on
laws. There's laws about it.
Right? Yes. What do they used to call it? A cigarette break? like. Hopefully we're not doing that anymore. But yes, there's laws around relief. It's built into the job, to the corporate workforce, if you will. And motherhood is a job. And so you need a break from motherhood as well. The workload is massive, and it is relentless. And it is also unnamed and unpaid. And we need systemic change at the highest levels to support our mothers' well-being and nervous system, and ultimately support the well-being of humanity. But before we can even expect that kind of systemic larger change, we can know, a mom can know, a woman can know, that I have the power and the control to make changes in my own system, here inside my body, and also in the system that is my household. Yes, because expecting grand systemic change can, on some days, especially lately, can really seem hopeless and impossible. But we have to remember where we do have control, and that is inside our own mind, inside our own heart, and inside our own home. And so some of the ways that we can help ourselves are just those that you mentioned. I live by a feel-good formula. This is something I created over many, many journal entries. This goes back probably a decade, when I started realizing life was very full and I could easily be overwhelmed and overstimulated. And I needed to find sort of this grounding, this stable place where I could say to myself, okay, if my whole day blows up, my whole plan goes to shit, how can I look back on my day and feel like it still went well? This was a satisfying day for me. And it just started as writing on the corner of my to-do notes for the day. It's drinking 60 to 90 ounces of water. It's some kind of movement, right? It's taking my vitamins. I mean, this is my threshold, right? Where my bar is set. And so the feel good formula was really born out of that. So the feel good formula is really just your personal blueprint to feeling good. So you're aligning values with these like tiny practices and these simple systems. Yes, and that's ultimately what slivers of self-care are. Most people cannot afford, they don't have the time to have a weekend in Bali or a weekend up in Malibu, or even 6 hours to themselves during the day to reset their nervous system. And especially for a mom who, in many cases, is overwhelmed and overstimulated as well, this is impossible. And we can't wait for those perfect moments. All your girlfriends free for dinner, that whole weekend away, the 6 hours to myself on Saturday to take care of ourselves. And so slivers of self-care are the answer to that. They are three, like think of it as like a 3 to 9 minute self-care task, a 3 to 9 minute action that allows you to stabilize and ground within yourself so you can just kind of calm your nervous system. And the examples that you mentioned are exactly it. For me, I notice after I drop my son off at school, I stop into Pete's and I get a really yummy coffee, hot or iced, depends on the day, right? But that's like my little break in between the rush and the chaos of getting him ready on time in the morning and getting him to school, and then the drive down the 57 and like getting him to school. Oh my God, we made it in time. Like my whole system is like, ah. And I just stop for a coffee and I like stand there and I smell the coffee and I get a good cup of coffee. It's probably 6 minutes in and out the door, but that's just like a little calm, right? It's sitting in the car for 3 minutes and just taking a couple deep breaths before you go into the house and you meet your family or whatever is there waiting for you on the other side of that door. It's just these little tiny, it's taking your lunch outside if you can. It doesn't even need to be long. It can be 11 minutes. You set your timer. It's texting a girlfriend, just something funny. It can even be a meme, just some sort of connection. And you'll find within you what that is. It could be a meditation if you like. It could be a classic meditation, right? Where you sit down and you meditate and you calm your system. For someone else, it might just be one walk around your home, one walk around the block before you now jump into, again, whatever's waiting for you in your quote unquote workday. And I'll stop there, but I think that you said it perfectly. And I think it's important that women know that they can take back that control of their own well-being and their own stability in a relatively short amount of time. And I think that the slivers of self-care are well-being saviors for a mom.
Yes, and not just for mom. I mean, I think that this is like for everybody. It's such an important practice in life. And I also think the more you do these, like you call them slivers of self-care, the more you do them, the easier it gets and the more natural. And you sort of like you can really just live your whole life like that. Like I really try to just have every moment being a sliver of self-care, because no matter what's thrown at me, if I'm thrown something terrible and I deal with it with calmness and peaceful, and I can deal with it so much better. If I just look at it like like I lived a life of a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And I kind of got to a point where I thought, oh my gosh, it's killing me. It's trying to kill me and I'm killing myself. And so I really think that I have this whole new attitude now where everything I face and everything I look at, I'm just going to look at from this place of like acceptance and, it's out of my control. What I can control is how my body reacts to it and my mind reacts to it. And the more calm I am, the better outcome. And, everything. Like I drove like 45 miles out the wrong way the other day. Like I had the address. I put the wrong address in the navigation.
Yeah.
I think we've all done this. And it was traffic hour. And I needed to be clearly on the other side of town in 20 minutes, and the Navi was saying 58 minutes it's going to take me to go like 17 miles in LA. Yeah. And I had luckily just put a new playlist on Spotify, put it in the car, and I was like, I'm going to roll the windows down. The weather's beautiful. If I have to sit in traffic, like there's so many worse things that could be happening in life right now.
Yes.
But for me, I get to drive and listen to good music in beautiful weather, and that's how I approached it. And your book really has kind of kicked into gear for me that because you talk about acceptance, like we can accept that parenthood can really stink. And yet we wouldn't trade it for the world. Or we would. Like, I think it's a great book for people who are contemplating, do they want to be parents or not? My oldest daughter kept coming into mind. Like, this is a great reference for people to say it is not all rainbows and, great things. And there's not moments where it's like, oh, we're past the not sleep. Every step of it is hard. There's not a point where it gets easier. It changes. It adjusts. But it also helped me communicate with my teenager that, and it's great for her to take on with her that, listen, parenthood, she got snarky with me about something. And I was like, that book I'm reading, it allows me to be pissed that you never put me first, like you can think about me, but I love you to death and I will do this. But for me, it sort of stinks. Like that stinks what just happened. And she just was like, huh? And I think it registered with her because she was much kinder to me for the rest of the day. And there's been a couple moments like that where we went somewhere and we were going to be there for a period of time. And usually there's food. There's a great food place there, and it was closed. And she had eaten and I had not. And she said, oh, well, let's go because, you didn't eat and everything's going to be. And I said, you know what? No, because I'm not going to let me being hungry for, an hour and a half or something like that ruin my mood. I'm not going to be horrible like some people like her, who's young and still like, sometimes we don't realize like, oh, we're hungry. So we just act out and we're, we're awful. And I explained to her, I'm just going to accept that I'm hungry and it's not going to affect my mood. I'm not going to be horrible to you about it. And she sort of like, her mood changed again because I just was honest.
Mm-hmm.
We can just be honest about like, okay, I'm going to do this, but this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what I'm doing because I love you. And like, it's just, it's so hard to put into words. It's a feeling, right? But it's so freeing. It's so freeing. And I think it's great communication. I always do this. I've always caught myself doing this thing with her where I'm like, just suck it up. Because her mood's going to change in 30 minutes or in an hour or after she's, and I got to a place where I'm like, no, I can actually say right now, like, God, sucks to be me, but okay. Let's go. Let's do it. And I think that she can see me differently.
So I relate to so much of what you're saying, and I want to validate and acknowledge all of that and say yes, 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 and just with a big highlighter, highlighted in yellow. And this has been a transformative part of my parenting as well in the last 2 years or so, as I'm as I'm growing with the writing of the book and the talking about the book and whatnot. And mothers and motherhood is primarily taken for granted. Culture assumes that mom will always be there and she'll always come through. And while not all moms do, most do. Yes. And the perception is, and then we also call motherhood a thankless job, right? Meaning it's a lot of work and there's not a lot of recognition for the work. Yeah. There's no, hey, thank you for that. Hey, that must be a lot for you. Hey, I can see that you're a little over. Why don't you take a break? We're just not, the world for the most part is not reflecting back to mothers the enormity of the work. And so a woman can begin to question the value of what she knows is overwhelming and exhausting, yet essential. Yeah. So we can change, and this is even a sliver of self-care in itself, that we can commit to ourselves. We can commit to not sweep our feelings, our very real feelings, under the rug. And acknowledging how a mom and how a woman feels is an act of self-respect. It's an act of dignity. It says, I matter. This matters. It's a lot. Me too, in that regard. And so with my own son, I have more and more been saying to him as well, when he doesn't like how a moment is going, but when I'll say it this way, when one of his needs is not getting met in the moment, but I also have a need that's not getting met, I am more often saying, whoa, 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 whoa. I matter too. I know you wanted it to go this way, but let's just use your example. But mommy actually hasn't eaten. And I'm getting pretty grumpy and agitated. And I'm not going to be able to do this next thing with you unless we stop and get me something to eat. And he gets that. I'm like, and I'll say to him, do you know what it feels like to be hungry? Can you remember what it feels like
They
to be
do.
hungry?
They're
And
so
then
grumpy. Yeah.
it clicks for them and they begin to see mom, me, you as a person with feelings and with thoughts and even maybe with their own dreams and desires. Their
Yeah.
right? Their own plans instead of just this like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like just like I'm a frozen pod person. You just throw water on me and I come to life and I get you whatever you want, right? Like I'm the butler, I'm the concierge, I'm crisis management, I'm HR, I'm planning. I'm fulfilling all these roles. And I know that my child loves me very much. And I know that my husband loves me very much. But I think the predominant expectation is that a woman will endure. A
Because we
woman will
have.
endure because we have a woman will endure, and I want to say woman will endure, and then of course a mother will endure because women take it under the chin all the time too. We're the caretakers, we're the people pleasers, and so women, even if you're not a mom, you're probably over functioning, especially in today's day and age, right, where you can't really turn off. It's very hard for the nervous system to turn off. But then if you're a mom on top of that, yeah, the unsaid expectation is that a woman will endure, and it's not ill-intentioned. I certainly know it's not ill-intentioned by my son or my husband. I don't know about some other communities.
Right.
But it's not ill-intentioned by them. But I need to teach them what to expect. I need to show I matter too. I need to reflect that back to them. Wait, wait, wait. But I don't feel good. Wait, but I'm tired. But mommy, in the book I say, and then I'll let you go. I know I'm talking for a while. But even in the book I say, I think it's in chapter 8, I will tell my son, I need a timeout. And at first it was confusing for him, like, are you in trouble? Why do you need a time? And I just had to explain to him, I'm tired, I'm grumpy, and I need to go reset. So I'm going to go to my room and close the door for not long, right? Like 10 minutes or whatever it is. You do this independently because he's at an age where he can. And I will be back after that. And so to also say with your daughters, then we're role modeling to them because look, my son might be a dad one day. Your daughter, right? Either one of them might be mothers one day. And we pass on this conditioning. It's not like the conditioning is not always passed on verbally. It's also passed on, and not how I treat them necessarily. It's also just how I treat myself is passed on. Because I've had plenty of clients over the years who were not necessarily treated poorly by a parent, but because the parent treated themselves poorly, mostly the mom, they adopted that attitude towards themselves. So this is it's a win-win. I'm showing myself self-respect and regard and honor and dignity by honoring how I feel and what I think and what I need in this moment. But I'm also role modeling for my child, for your child, that their feelings matter too inside the system. And they might find themselves in the same system one day.
You hit the nail on the head, and it's like you hear all the time where people say they then become parents
Mm-hmm.
and they say, "Now I get it." because we've sucked it up for so long, and it shouldn't be that at the end of life and after you've passed on that they finally get you and understand you. It should be that we're talking about it as we go along. And you're so right about teaching them. Like you talk in the book about having self-respect, and that we sit here and we do this invisible work and this thankless job, and we suck it up. And we always wonder, like, why doesn't anybody get it? Or like, why doesn't anybody acknowledge it? And you talk about how we have to do that.
Yeah.
Like that falls on us too.
Yeah.
And it's very important. It's a very important component that is missing and has been missing. And it makes me look back and go, what have we been doing all this time? Why don't we? If you give yourself that pat on the back and you say to yourself, well done. Like, I did that, even if it wasn't perfect, right? Even if it was a mess, everybody's still alive and everybody got fed. And we made it. And I did that. It's because of me. And if you acknowledge yourself, and I thought that was so important, because I think that that's missing with so many people, to have that self-respect.
Yeah, because also, and I talk about this, I think it's chapter 4, where I say the title of the chapter is, I could look it up, is self validation is a revolution. I think that's the title of the chapter, self validation, because no one is going to validate you the way you can validate you. And we have, again, I think there's larger systemic change that's absolutely needed, and would be for the well-being of not just the woman and the mother, but humanity in general. But it has to start at home. And we mothers are doing an entire corporate organization chart. We hold every single role there is to hold, but we don't get a performance review. I mean, the performance review is really our own guilt, quite honestly, because we never think we're measuring, or that's the default, right? Until there's some consciousness brought to it, like in conversations like this. So no one really is saying, good job, mom, except maybe another mom. But there tends to also, I think moms are some of the toughest on other moms. So there's that too. So again, it's so important to self-validate, say, good job. Like I will be like, good. I go to the gym after I drop my son off at school. When I'm walking him out, I'm like, good job, Danielle. No one, I don't have to go to the gym. Like, it's a lot of work to go to the gym to try to stay healthy at almost 50. I'll be 50 this year, to like stay in good shape, and no one's high-fiving me for that. And so I got to do it for myself. I leave the gym like, good job, girl. You need those little, like, and even in the stopping for the coffee or the nap. Sometimes I'll nap. I'm tired. I'm going through late perimenopause. I'm like, I need a nap, right? I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to get through 9 p.m. tonight with my son unless I just take like a 45-minute nap. And that's good job, Danielle, for giving yourself a nap. Instead of beating myself up and punishing and judging myself, or, oh, you need a break. That's so weak, right? Why aren't you resilient enough? Why aren't you strong enough? You should be able to power through. Why are you tired? What's wrong with you? So instead of being self-critical, I'm like, good job, girl. Right? That was like a power move. That, like, now you're just so much more clear. You're awake. You can get through the rest of the day without being hard on yourself or those around you. So I think that validation, I think that self-acknowledgement of a job well done, no matter how small, and there really is no job that's too small, right, is again an act of self-regard, an act of self-respect, an act of dignity. And I think that the more and more, as you very wisely said, you incorporate those little acts of, those little slivers of self-care, those little acknowledgments, those little validations, your own self-respect and regard grows, because you're feeling good too. And you recognize that it's not all or nothing, that I can enjoy my children, I can enjoy my family life, I can feel it as a blessing and a joy, but I also relieve the job aspects of it, the massive workload aspects of it, with rewarding and acknowledging and recognizing myself in that. And the whole system becomes easier. But moms don't feel free to do that in the capacity that I think that they should and would benefit us. And so that's another piece that's at play too.
It's interesting that you say that, because something happened to me. And first, I just want to say, like, people who are worried about other moms judging them, like, F off, because you're not in my house. Like, I'm doing what makes my house run smoothly. I don't care about what works for you. Great. Don't put it on me. Excuse me. But I had a conversation one time about, God, excuse me. with a woman who's she's a CEO of a big company, and she's a mom friend. And I was talking about something, and I said, God, if I were to go into the workforce, like, I've done nothing. I've never had a job. And she looked at me and she goes, you're a CEO. You are HR. You are accounting. You are management. You have all the jobs. You have expertise in every field. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. She's absolutely right.
Yeah.
She's like, because I'm like, I've just been a mom since I was 25. I've done nothing. She's like, you've done everything. And it was a game changer for me at the way I looked at myself.
So I have to say, I just pulled this up because I don't have it memorized, but I've spoken about it with someone else. A human resource manager on average makes $140,000 a year. This is based on BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is like real data, right? $140,000 a year. People management, policy, hiring and firing, conflict mediation, a project management specialist, timelines, prioritization, cross-functional coordination. How much of that do you do with multiple children, right? $100,750 a year. General operations manager. So you're running operations, constant decision making, resource allocation, $102,950,000 a year. I could go on and on. Like, I have a whole list here. In the corporate workforce, these skills that moms have to perform, untrained, by the way, there's no training for this. In the corporate workforce, have titles and salaries and teams.
Yeah.
And mom does it all alone. But we're not talking about this. We're not making the correlation. We're not saying motherhood is leadership. It's just institutionally not recognized leadership. But this is what it is worth. I ran these stats. I ran these stats that mothers spend, I think it's something like, again, this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the BES also, and mothers work an average, they spend an average of 5 to 8 hours a day, that's what it is, on unpaid caregiving and household work. So 5 to 8 hours. If we paid a mom minimum wage, which is $25 an hour, which, by the way, is less than what our housekeepers and caregivers are paid. If we paid her that, it would equal $42,000 a year.
Which is huge.
So, which moms are not getting. So we're not even getting the $42,000 a year, let alone the 6 figures that our counterparts are getting for doing one of those roles. I'm sorry, I totally went on a tangent, but I just needed to. It is a huge job that is not recognized culturally. It's not recognized.
It's a huge job that's not recognized. And when it's in the corporate world, it's delegated and broken up. Different people run each department, right? And we are doing it all. And that leads me to this movement that Danielle has created that is just amazing. And we've got to talk about it. It's called the Motherload Wage Act.
Yeah.
She's done all the data. She's done all the research. And why not? This is another moment of an aha moment of like, okay, we realize we have to respect ourselves. We realize we have to speak out, and it's okay to talk about the, to show people that motherhood is
a job,
thankless, and it's a job, and we're doing it out of the goodness of our heart. All of these things. And again, 2 things can be true. We need to acknowledge that within ourselves and in our household and in our society, but we need laws. We need help.
Yeah.
So explain to us what this covers, because you can go online and join and sign the movement, which I encourage everybody to do. But explain to us a little bit about the Motherload Wage Act.
Yeah, so the Motherload Wage Act is a petition that I wrote. I am not a formally trained economist or petition writer. I don't even know what that person is called. But I felt compelled to put this together, and I am looking for economists to help me pressure test this. So that's part of the ask. When I was raising my son in the early motherhood years, and especially throughout writing the book, I had more and more awareness moments of, why aren't I getting paid for this? Why is this? I drive 2 hours a day for school pickup and drop off because we want him to go to a particular school that is good for him and he's thriving. It's a 1 hour round trip. I do that twice a day, most days. So I'm like an Uber driver and I love him, but it's work, right? Both things. So during this drive, I'm like, I don't know why don't I get paid for this? Somebody's getting paid to do this. Lunchbox, all the meal prep. What? I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this. Somebody is getting paid to do this. Cooks, chefs, meal prep, cafeteria support, right? Bath time, bedtime. Oh, school. I don't really want to do homework. I'm doing homework. We're doing fractions now. I have to look it up on like ChatGPT. I don't know what I have to teach myself. So I teach it. Somebody's getting paid to do this. It's a lot of work. And so very often through my experience, I'm like, why don't I get paid to do this? It would make everything so much easier. So I basically put together a federally funded, tax-exempt caregiver wage. It's a monthly, like in very plain English, it's a monthly paycheck for whoever the designated primary caregiver is of that young child. And so we would need a pilot and scale with a benefit, set by an independent economic review. And so this is part of my call. I'm looking for those people. I think it would be employment neutral, because the working mom, I think all moms are working moms. If you're a stay-at-home mom, you're still working. And then the mom who is working at home and also working outside the household, she comes home to a second job. So no matter how much you're making in your day job in the corporate workplace, you're still coming home to a second job. So I think that the work needs to be honored and she should receive a paycheck for that. I do think it should be one designated primary caregiver. So there's all these nuances too that we're not doing both. I'm trying to present it in a way where it is fiscally responsible and doable. Now, I could get on my soapbox about what is fiscally responsible. And I talk about this a lot in chapter 9. We spend $1 trillion a year on defense. I'm not sure that $1 trillion is necessary. The Department of Defense constantly fails audits of where that money has gone. This is just one example. And forget about the $200 billion that's being asked to fund the Iran war right now.
Yeah.
Where was the $200 billion when we took away SNAP? Where was the $200 billion when we took away healthcare? Where was the $200 billion when we needed to fire people in the federal government? I know I'm getting a little political right now. Where's the $200 billion for the affordability crisis, right? People can't buy homes anymore. Like, where's the $200 billion when I need help with a mortgage just to get into my first home and get out of it? So this would cost $700 billion a year, $500 billion a year, depending on how we scale it. It is no small amount of money. But I don't think it's that we don't have the money. I think it's that we haven't valued caregiving. And so I think we could find the money. Again, I'm not a professional. I'm just a mom having an experience, wondering why, in this case, the government and culture, the government as an extension of culture, is not reflecting back not only the enormity of the work, but the value of the work. There is no more important job than being a parent.
Yeah.
And I think it's essential that we support our mothers. There's a lot of other ways to support our mothers other than a monthly paycheck, but that monthly paycheck feels real. You get a paycheck in the mail and you're like, right, this is not a child tax care credit, not something that is also like that feels invisible, more invisibility on top of more invisibility. If I could get a paycheck in the mail, even if it was $500, it would feel like it's some level of respect for the energy expenditure and the devotion
Yeah.
of what I do. And so I hope that that has sort of answered the question. It's probably its own conversation.
Yeah, it's a whole other topic, right? It's
Yeah.
like, and we have to stop with the I get to stay at home, or like staying at home is a privilege, which maybe it is. Like maybe that's your job of choice. Like we always say, do what you love and then you get paid for it. Well, if
Yeah.
you're doing what you love and that's staying home and being a mom, then you should get paid for it. And it's very real. And like for a single mom, that hits me because I sit there and I go, wow, I'm a personal shopper. I'm an unpaid Uber driver. I'm a stylist. I'm a cook. I'm a maid. I'm a personal assistant.
Yeah.
And and that's before I even get to me or actual work,
Yeah.
actual job that does give me
Yeah.
any kind of money.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very taxing job, and it would be amazing for women to be acknowledged about it. And it needs to happen on so many levels, starting with ourselves, starting within the home, starting with relating to other women that way and
Mm.
acknowledging like they're doing a good job. There was a mom the other day in the store, and she's pushing her kid in the cart, and the kid is screaming,
Yeah.
and she was just pushing and
Yeah.
trying to keep calm. And I smiled at her and I was like giving her like the good job, like whatever.
Yeah.
But there were other people going, get that kid out of here,
Yeah.
and we have to stop and be like, it is not a demon. The kid's having a moment, and this poor mother. Like,
Yes.
don't yell at the mother. Like,
Yes. Yes.
give her sympathy. Like, let's help each other here.
Yeah. Yeah. How does she feel? I was speaking with a mom friend of mine who's in London, and her daughter had a moment and had to go to the emergency room, and it was a lot, and she survived and everything is fine. But I said to her, ultimately I said to her, I'm so happy that her daughter's name and you are in a better place right now, because I feel like once we have children, people forget about the mother and how we feel and what we think and what we're enduring. A child gets sick and they have to go on antibiotics, or they're up for 3 nights throwing up, and everyone's like, oh, poor baby, how is he doing? How is she doing? Like, that must be so hard on them. Poor papa, poor mama, whatever it is. And that's all welcomed, and it's true. Like, they're going through a lot too, but nobody says, or rarely people say, good job, mom. That must be a lot for you to have been up 3 times last night. Wow, that's a lot to scrap your whole day. You planned this whole day and now you've got to reschedule it for another day. Just think of the admin work that goes into that.
Yeah.
You may have 6 things planned for today for your own, in your own life for work. And now you have to go back to those 6 people, 6 organizations and say, hey, I was up all night with my child. My child has to stay home. They're not going to school. And now I need to reschedule all this with you. And then you have to go, and it's not direct. It's not easy peasy lemon squeezy, because now that person's like, well, I'm not available on this day. And the other person's like, I'm not available on that. And then you have to, what you think is going to take 9 minutes takes 98 minutes.
Sure.
And this happens over and over and over again. So it requires a lot of bandwidth and emotional agility.
All while thinking, don't get sick, don't get sick.
Yeah. Did I take a shower? Maybe I should wash my hair. Right. Like all of that. Did I eat yet?
Right.
Should I warm my coffee up again? Let me go warm up my coffee again, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the mother pushing the cart with the screaming kid, she wasn't she had a job to do. She had things to purchase and to run her household. She was there to get a job done, and she's also doing crisis management at the same time.
Yeah.
Can we acknowledge her for that instead of criticizing her that her kid is screaming?
Yes. Or help her. Like help.
Yes,
like
right.
Yeah. It's just, the culture treats motherhood like it's some kind of sacred hobby rather than labor.
Yes.
Right. But if we were going to, I think it starts with and this is why it's important mothers do this, right? Because the work stays invisible because it's how the system stays comfortable. If we collectively named the workload, we'd have to collectively respond to it, right? At home, at work, and in policy. So it's convenient for the system to relate to motherhood as something I'm doing on the side. It's a sacred hobby on the side. And while it may be sacred, it's not a hobby, it's a full-time job. And so this mom in the grocery store, it all looks passive, but it's not. You're right. She had a job. She had to get that child dressed. She had to get herself dressed. She had to get that child in the car, probably in a car seat. She had to get him out of the car seat. She had to get him into the stroller. She probably had to give him a snack, a toy, something. She had to remember the list. Hopefully she remembered it. She probably got there and was like, God damn it. Like, right. And it was like, I forgot the list at home. Let me remember it from my head. And then go up and down all the aisle. Right. And then her child has a meltdown, but she still needs the stuff. So she can't leave.
Yeah.
Right, so
Because we got an appointment. They've got an appointment at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, my nervous system is crashing, like, inside, like, the overwhelm. You have to sympathize with her. The overwhelm and the overstimulation and the anxiety is probably up to here, but she can't express that because it probably would make her a bad mom, right? Either in her own view or whoever's around, right? Culture's view. The other people the other shoppers are gonna be like, ooh, hold it together. Or the other thing that's happening is like she may be holding it together, but as you said, they're judging the kid. Oh, but they're not really judging the kid, they're judging the mom because, like, oh, if that mom had it together, this kid wouldn't be crying.
Oh,
right?
The lady, I kid you not, you hit the nail. The lady standing next to me was with her grown daughter, and she turned to her daughter after she said, God, get that kid out of here. She turned to her daughter. She said, do you know what I would have done to you if you were acting like that? And it was like, okay, great. Whatever you did worked. What's working for this woman is keeping her peace, letting the kid scream it out, and she has to get her job done. She's got to get her groceries, and she's got to get what she needs. It's all different. And if you can't stand the kid crying, you just gotta walk away, go to the other side.
Aisle.
Yeah.
Who has the harder job here?
Yeah.
Her.
No, I know. You're browsing the cosmetics with your grown daughter. This woman is trying to get, lunch and dinner prepared, supplies for lunch and dinner while her kid is being a little fart. And it's like, so our ask for everybody that's listening is sign the petition. Let's start acknowledging that two things can be true. Being a stay-at-home mom can be wonderful and a privilege and a great thing. And just being a mother can be so wonderful. And it's all of those things. And it is also one of the hardest jobs in the world. It also can really be the pits sometimes, a lot of the time. And we push through it. And we just want to acknowledge ourselves and each other and really start to have acceptance of that and acknowledgement of that and communication about that, because it really takes the load off. I think talking about it and being honest about it eases everything enormously. And you can access the petition at discover.danielle-dowling.com/pay-mothers. Join it. Let's just, we got to get that momentum. We got to, all of the things we've got to just start acknowledging and talking about and accepting. And it's these steps that we just have to continue to take. And the baby steps add up. We're being pushed back on so hard with this administration, but we can't be held back if we just continue to be open and accept and talk about and support each other. So thank you. Thank you for organizing it. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for opening this conversation. Thank you for, it made me think on so many levels. This book takes you on a roller coaster it touches on so many things in life, and I highly recommend it. It's Good Girl, Bad Mom, Dr. Danielle Dowling. For every mom who has ever felt imperfect. And let's change that to every person who has ever felt imperfect. It's such a good read, quick, easy read, fun read. And Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for saying it's a fun read. I really wanted it to read almost like a novel, but that's why I start every chapter with story also, and then kind of weave in some of the support. So thank you so much for that. Moms just don't need another clinical, difficult, heavy read. So I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. I'm so appreciative for the time.
It feels like a conversation. The book feels like you're having a conversation with a friend. It's not like you're not reading like clinical stuff from a doctor that you're trying to process and understand and evaluate. This is like having an open conversation, and so much more of this is needed.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There you go. I thought it was interesting. Some of the best moms that I know always are the ones that say they don't feel perfect, and I'm like, you're as good as I've ever seen. and yet they're the ones that look at themselves the most. Nobody's perfect.
What the fuck is perfect? Who wants to be perfect? We're all like perfect. That whole imperfectly perfect. It's like, yeah, like what that whole word needs to just disappear. Can we just take perfect out of the dictionary?
I think
like what a
my favorite thing that parents do is when their kids start school and they always tell you, my kid's a genius. And I'm like, the kid's not a genius. like every single parent, oh, he's so smart. Your kid's a genius. And I'm like, and then I've known parents who actually had kids that were like geniuses, like going to Stanford and doctors. They never once said their kids were a genius. Yeah, but yet it's always the one that, I don't think he knows which shoe is on the right foot and left foot. Are you sure this kid's a genius? But okay, whatever makes you feel good.
Shirt's on inside out, but we're okay.
Yeah. Okay, you got it. No problem. That's always funny. That was good. That was enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a great book. It really is like it is like talking to somebody, and you feel seen and you feel heard with it, and I don't know, it really gave me like this pep in my step to be more honest and open with Keegan in these years, because I think what we do is we default to just suck it up, and then you can maybe vent to a friend, or you don't vent at all, or you just vent in your brain, and you write it off as, oh, they're just teenagers, and you let them behave like that and treat you like that, and you go, they're going to grow out of it, right? This is a phase, this is a stage, and we talk about it behind their backs. If we talk about it with them, and I'm going to be the guinea pig here because I'm starting to do this with her. I'm starting to say like, oh, yeah, great. Fuck me. All of that, because this is so fun for me. What about me? And just little pops of it in there. Not like everything has to be about me, but little moments of like, okay, yeah, I don't exist. And, making it, just bringing it to light. I think it's really important. I think we need to start doing this as people.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for listening. Huh?
That was good. I enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad. And I enjoyed the book. Get a copy of it. It's worth it. It's so worth the read. Watch The Pink Pill, and we will see you next week.